The master plan you mentioned earlier carries a lot of weight on the issue of rail transport. Share with us how soon will this the blue and the red line, when they are going to come upstream for people to start benefiting or using them, as the case may be?
So you'll have noticed that every quarter or monthly sometimes the governor goes and inspects the blue line and the red line just to make sure that we're on schedule. So we plan to finish the infrastructure of the blue line by the end of this year, and then we'll start passenger operation by the first quarter of 2023. Likewise, the red line. So we are on target to ensure that negotiations will see passenger operations in the first quarter of 2023, and that still stands.
Right. Now, let's look at the aspect of the ban, talking about insecurity. There are those who think that perhaps the government could have fished out those who were carrying out criminal activities instead of having a total ban on the Okada.
Look, whichever way you look at it, we cannot continue to have the influx of people of that magnitude. I mean, the police will be overwhelmed. First of all, put that push factor there, and then let's deal with what is left in Lagos State. So I think we've done what is appropriate. We can't continue to fish millions of people. I mean, how many police personnel do we have in Nigeria, talk less of in Lagos? So it makes sense to put that push factor. Let's make it difficult for crime to be perpetrated in Lagos by putting that ban in place, and then we then deal with the other crimes that are in Lagos. So it's the most reasonable thing for a government to do. And so just simply allowing them in and then trying to fish all of them out, that's a lot of work. And it's a waste of, I mean, there are a lot of things that police do in Lagos to protect us, to make Lagos a stable city. And it just makes sense for us to put that push factor so that we prevent a crime happening in Lagos rather than let it happen and then begin to find the people and then, I mean, trying to fish them out. So I think what the government is doing is, I mean, it's not out of place at all.
Dr. Oladeinde, we had, also in the news, while tracking days before the takeoff of the fresh ban, a group of protesters who stormed Lagos House. They claimed to be members of the Okada Association from a particular axis, also giving some sense that maybe there wasn't enough engagement. How is the state government dealing with that? You've also spoken about options that, these people can also explore in the state beyond the Okada business that has now been truncated. So how do people, interested residents, access those opportunities?
So, I mean, we have phone numbers. I mean, when people go to those ministries, they will be attended to. So it's not for special kind of people. You talked about the protest about 3 days ago. We sat down with the leaders and we made it clear to them that there's no going back on Okada. And so we asked them to submit the list of their members, let them know those who are riding Okada legitimately, and then let's begin to provide for them. And we are, we are asking other Lagosians who are affected by this to call in, to go to the Ministry of, to go to WAPA, to go to Wealth Creation, or any of these MDAs that we have listed, submit their name, and then we'll see how we can slot them into a program. So it's a program that is open to all Lagosians, people that live in Lagos, and so let's just let them just go to the appropriate ministries, and then they'll be dealt with.
All right. There was a time Lagos State government moved to start work on the 4th mainland bridge, and a lot of Lagosians were quite excited at getting that information that time. What is the update about that now? Has Lagos State jettisoned the idea of a 4th mainland bridge?
Ever. The 4th mainland bridge is as strong as ever. We have finished the appraisal. We are now talking to interested investors. We're just finalizing the details, and the Fourth Mainland Bridge will go ahead. I can assure you that.
Now, there are those who say that they are not commercial riders and have this Okadas for their personal use. Where do they come in the mix of all of this plan?
So there's a rule, there's a law that says that you can't ride a bike that is less than 200 cc. And then secondly, for those kind of bikes, there's a license that you get. It's called the rider's card or Class A license, depending on where you go. And so we issue those permits, and as long as you're not carrying passengers, etc., I don't think that should be a problem. So there is a license for those who have private bikes, bikes that are not used for Okada, etc. And once you get the required permits and license, I think you should be fine.
All right, but for specifics, I think you just touched it lightly earlier. I asked a question about the future of commercial buses. There does remain some concerns about security. You alluded to the creation of cameras here and there across the state, but eventually moving forward, what's the plan for commercial buses?
So there's a reform going on in Lagos. It's called the bus reform. And what we're doing is we're asking commercial drivers to form a cooperative, and so that we can then franchise routes to them. So Lamata is responsible for that program. We have over 30 routes that we've franchised, so we're doing it gradually. Eventually, we'll begin to reform the yellow buses, and then we'll then bring in more blue buses, but they will be in the form of a cooperative, and then they will be able to be regulated by Lamata, and then so that we can get more information, more data, and then the people that ride our commercial buses can be safer. They'll be safer because most of these buses are coming with cameras. Most of these buses are, with the carry card and the validators. We're collecting more data on the kind of trips that people make, and with the information that we're receiving, so we know where people are coming from, where they're going to, and then we can then provide the adequate infrastructure to cater for the volume of traffic in any particular direction. So, and that's the importance of moving from the unregulated to the regulated. So we're regulating, and we're reforming the bus system in such a way that it's, you have information on every bus. You know when the buses are coming. You know the operator who is operating this particular bus. And so, for example, if you leave your bag in a particular bus, we can track it down because we will be able to track the bus. And that's where the smart city initiative comes in, the cameras, etc., and then the intelligent transport system that we're deploying, just to make sure that our bus system is much more effective and efficient. So in trying to move from the unregulated to a regulated system, we're making Lagos State much more safer, and we're making it smarter, and we're making it very difficult for people to commit a crime. And that's where I feel that Lagos State should be headed